I said I have stuff too.
We all have stuff.
We have stuff.
Looks like this broadcast was deleted on Facebook. Try creating a new broadcast. Whatever. I don't care. Just go live. Just go live. I don't care.
If it's been deleted on Facebook, who are we going live to?
Well, we still have YouTube and we still have Twitch.
Okay.
Which we've been live for 20 seconds now, but Facebook's still being a dick. I'm just pressing go live and it's not letting me go live. So now I have to edit. Why do I have to edit? I don't know.
Probably because we missed our time window by a lot.
Well, I'd already changed it once though. That's the thing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So I don't know how I changed it to this stupid thing. All right, so I'm going to take away the Facebooks. Yes, delete Facebook.
I know
this is live. You know, that's what's great about this.
Riveting low blow content happening right now.
And I'm just going to save it. Okay, I had to delete it, but now we're back. We're going to be live again. We're going to be live on Facebook.
Okay.
I feel like Neo right now. I feel like Morpheus, you know.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I am looking forward to The Matrix 4. Do you know we should have already had that movie by now? The Matrix 4 should have already been out, which is kind of mind-boggling to think about because it always feels like it should be 2 years away.
That's true.
Yeah. Also, speaking of missing stuff, I'm very upset. It was just sent to me by CNET. Michelle sent this to me. Apparently, a lot of websites today were hit and hacked by a porn site today. Like some really big websites were just hit. Like you'd be surfing, trying to look up what your ailment is on WebMD, then all of a sudden, boom, penis. And I don't know. It could be boobs. I'm not really quite sure what they were showing. Did everybody see the same porn, or was it different? I don't know. But this was just sent to me, and I'm very upset that I didn't surf any of those sites today.
I'm very upset that our site didn't get hacked.
Right? Yeah. This is. Yeah, so the Washington Post and Huffington Post apparently both got hit today, and a lot of media sites. We're media, damn it.
Yeah, right. We deserve to be hacked by porn.
Yeah, it'd be a nice break from the day. You know, I'm just looking at line after line after line on an Excel document. It'd be nice to see some boobies. You know, I mean,
yeah, right. And that's viral marketing taken to a whole nother level. If it was all one video, like everyone got the same thing.
That's what I want to know. Like, did the New York Post get like a certain video? Like they got the blonde, and then the New York Times got the brunette.
That's what it is. Is like, did the porn actually like target demographics in that audience?
You know, New York really likes their bestiality. And probably that comment right there just lost us a few viewers. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm not picturing it. You are, you sicko. Not you, Ballz.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I'm very upset by that. If you surfed on any of those sites today and saw porn, what did you see?
Please
tell us about it. Give us details, please. I would like that. All right. So we got some wrestling talk we're going to get to here in a moment. Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm kind of hoping StreamYard gets hacked, you know, like in the middle of this conversation. Bounce, wow, wow, you know. And then also, does it take over the whole screen or does it only take over like a part of it? You know? It's
inquiring minds.
Details I want to know.
Inquiring minds. Like, we need to know this.
Exactly. Like, you know what? We're going to throw away all wrestling topics today. I'm just going to focus on this.
Until someone tells us what happened.
Until somebody hacks us. No, don't hack us. Please don't hack us. But probably won't have a low blow next week because both Ballz and myself are going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina, working a pop culture event.
Ooh.
And we'll probably be too busy to do this.
Yes, we will.
Although we could be like, hey, Chris Statlander, come on in. Oh, you're on video right now. I didn't know it was on. Well, you're here. What's going
on?
We probably could get some people, but we'll be too busy working. So we at least had to get you one this week, busy week. So at least it's not a bad week to talk about any of this. Where do you even want to start? Like, to you, out of everything that's happened, rumor or on screen, what's like the biggest thing to you?
Ooh. I mean, there was a lot. Like, I think we start with, let's talk Raw. Like,
okay,
all the returns.
I'm gonna
wash.
go ahead and I'll lump it all in together on this one.
Yes. I mean, those are the two that I mainly meant because Keith Lee just showed up and got beat. But
yeah, and Karrion Kross did too.
And Karrion Kross. Yeah, he's also on my list. So, yeah, I mean, we could all lump them all together.
Yeah. So even going back before Raw, we had Money in the Bank, which definitely had some surprising outcomes to that. And Cena coming back at the end, which is crazy to say. Welcome back.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how I feel about it yet. But,
yeah.
So,
thank you.
Yeah.
She probably wants some money. That's all right. It's fine. So Cena's back. The pop was huge. People are excited. And I think even people that don't like Cena are like, oh, thank you. Thank you for coming back.
I don't know.
And it seems like it's not like a one-time thing. He's saying that he doesn't want to come back and only show up like, once every few weeks. He wants to be here, which, again, is a good thing if you're a wrestling fan.
It is. It is. I did not get to see Raw. I know he showed up in the beginning. Did he explain why he showed up on the show that Roman's not on? Like, is there a point?
He didn't explain it, but it's called USA Network would be pissed.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's definitely that. But I was like, why did he show up on the show where the guy he interrupted is not on? Like,
I don't know. Maybe because he doesn't belong to a show. I mean, like, he's challenging Roman, but Cena can do whatever he wants. Because security can't see him.
I hope Roman comes out and be like, well, since you decided to go and show up on the show I'm not on. Like, I hope he gets called out for that. That would be good.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see that. This is good question by Steve. Why is Cross? I assume Karrion Kross, not Nikki Cross. Karrion Kross on Raw, though. That's his biggest question. I don't know. Maybe because there's a ceiling, there's a glass ceiling on SmackDown right now that unless you're a face against Roman, you're not going to be able to break that.
Well, and it depends how he meant the question. Like, did he mean Raw specifically, or did he mean why is Karrion on the main roster?
Both.
Yeah,
I assume Raw specifically, but I mean, Karrion has the skills and obviously the talent to do well wherever he's at.
Yes. However, and I don't know if you agree with me or not. I know this was kind of the older thought process. Raw always seemed like it was more of the theatrical, and SmackDown was more of the physical.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see Karrion Kross. Well, he's a fine wrestler. I mean, I don't think he's great, but he's not bad. His character is definitely leaning more theatrical.
Yeah, and I agree with that. It is more theatrical, although he is less theatrical without Scarlett by his side.
Yes, I think that's a mistake, not bringing her up, and maybe not for the debut, but
he also worked Main Event a couple weeks ago and didn't have her on that show either. So it seems like they want him to do his own thing. Steve says, why in the main roster? Why on Raw? But why with the NXT title? Which we've seen NXT champions, like Kevin Owens is probably the premier example of the NXT champion coming in, making an impact right away, and working both shows for a while.
Yeah.
Karrion, I don't know why they made a big deal of him being the NXT champ. They ran these promos that he's going to be there. For him to lose to Jeff Hardy, who has his best music back, yes. and he cheated to win, too. But it's like, it's just an odd choice.
No,
like, where are they going with this? Especially when he's supposed to still be a badass on Tuesday nights.
Yep. And I think that's the biggest thing is that people don't understand the booking, and most people don't. I don't think any of us do. That it makes your entire NXT roster look like chumps if your champion comes out and gets beaten like that on their debut. And I'm not saying he has to win every match, but while he's holding the belt, you would think that he would be a little bit better than Jeff, who is currently not doing a whole heck of a lot. Like, as a Jeff Hardy fan,
it's good to see Jeff get, and I know why Jeff got a win. Maybe not over Karrion necessarily, but why he got the win, because Jeff Hardy's a fan favorite. We're back to live events again. So WWE is going to load up these shows with fan favorites. Right or wrong, that's what they're going to do. So Jeff getting back on TV, getting back into the winning side of things is great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Over Karrion Kross, who's supposed to be this guy that is I don't know, a brute.
And
it's odd. Unless Karrion somehow gets it back next week by demolishing Jeff Hardy and I don't know, to the point of nobody can identify Jeff minus dental records, then what's the point? And Dante's right. He says Vince has a history of not showing any respect for anything. An example. And you're right. There is the Ascension came out and were immediately laughed at after being at that time the longest reigning NXT tag champions. But then they get Kevin Owens right, and they do have others that have done well. Sasha, Charlotte, Becky.
The difference between some of those examples, though, is that they were called up. The only person that I can think of that competed on Raw or SmackDown as NXT champion was Owens. And but
that's a good example of WWE treating him well.
Exactly. But I guess what I'm trying to say is when the other guys came up, they didn't acknowledge them as NXT stars. They were just, hey, new to Raw.
Right.
This is the thing.
That's true.
Now Karrion Kross is supposed to go back to NXT and get laughed at to the point that they have to refilm his segments.
Which I don't know. Have you seen they've already done some tapings for NXT over there, and have you seen where that leads?
I saw that they retaped that Jeff Hardy chants had to get his segment retaped, and then they lied to the crowd saying something cool is going to happen if you stuck around for the thing, and then it ends up being a retaped segment. So that I think is really, really Bush League. What would they have done if NXT was live?
Yeah, you just would have had to acknowledge it. Yeah. Which all the people involved in that segment with Karrion, Regal, Joe, and the announce team, they're all pros. So it's not they wouldn't know what to do with that. But it does make you wonder about the chance. And just hope that the NXT creative and Raw creative have some sort of communication so he can bounce back. I mean, Nathan points out, if it wasn't a one-off, how long is it before it's just Cross?
That's accurate.
And then also that makes me wonder if Nikki Cross, she's now Nikki ASH, and they've dropped the cross. I almost wonder if they knew that Karrion was coming up, so now's the time to do something different.
I mean, I think they knew he was coming up. He had been on Main Event for a month or more, or touring and doing tryout matches with a couple of the other wrestlers. I mean, plans obviously were in place.
Yeah, it's funny about the names and WWE not liking too much crossover in the past. I mean, we say William Regal in NXT. Before WWE, he was Steven Regal. So, but we already had a Steve Austin, and at that time, Steve Blackman too. But
as opposed to
AEW, I think Steve Williams, Dr. Death,
where you can be Christian Cage, Brian Cage, Ethan Page, Hangman Page.
There's a lot of ages going on there. I was more disappointed by Keith Lee returning just to lose than Cross. I wasn't. He lost to the champ, who's been dominant, but he had a good outing after not wrestling for 7 months,
something like that.
On screen. I think it's okay that he came up short against the champion after 7 months of being gone. But it still made him look good in the loss. I just now am curious what they're going to do with him. We know, what is it, a month from now we have a draft or a trade or a shakeup or lemon shakeup. I don't know what they're going to do there. But we're going to have something. So we'll see if people do come and go. If Karrion's theatrics, where we started this conversation, if Karrion is going to be involved with Alexa or Bray to some extent, just because the horror aspect of it. Almost like, Aleister Black, we'll see how it is. You decide to go over. We're going to bring up Karrion Kross, who's going to be our next big
guy who does dark stuff.
Yeah.
But the one name we have not talked about yet is, what do you think of Goldberg
Do you really have to ask that question?
Hey,
okay, if Goldberg comes back and puts over Lashley, cool.
We are like pretend journalists, so yes, I had to ask that question. Hard-hitting pretend journalists.
If Goldberg is going to go over and become the new champion, good God,
right?
Horrible idea.
Yeah.
If he's actually going to lay down and let a young talent, and Lashley isn't really a young talent, but if he is going to put Lashley over, that's huge for Lashley's right.
Yes.
But if it's just another Goldberg, he's going to win the belt, show up every pay-per-view, that's it. Why?
The last time he was up, he put Drew McIntyre over, didn't he? McIntyre beat him, didn't he?
That was, well, I don't know. I know Braun Strowman beat him, but that was supposed to be the Roman Goldberg 2 years ago.
But I felt like he's been up since then.
I don't know. I try not to pay attention.
Try not to block. This is where the pretend journalism comes. If we were real journalists, we'd know.
Yeah. Goldberg's only lost to 7 people over. No way he's putting Bobby. I don't know. Only one was black, Booker T. I was there for that, by the way. That was at Cleveland State University. That was a Monday Nitro. I remember that because I got to see Goldberg lose in person, and that for me was gigantic.
Nice. You're right. Yeah, Goldberg shows up, beats one of the hottest things on Raw, claims that he's next. We'll see.
And then what happens? I mean, Orton hasn't shown up for a while, so who else even makes sense for him to feud against right now that has momentum on their side?
Nobody, no one I could think of.
No, so I would put Lashley over, but that's just me. I would also have Goldberg lose every match ever, and I would also have Cena put over Roman too.
I would too. Yes.
To me. You think of it this way: Cena, even though he wants to be back more full time for this run, still a part timer these days. Goldberg a part timer, both main events.
Yep.
Do the right thing, put the full timers over. Roman remains the head of the table and your tribal chief and everything. Yeah. And Lashley gets to look dominant against maybe an Orton moves up or. Keith Riddle? Matt Riddle. Sorry. There's a lot of Keith Lee comments still. So I'm like,
that is not his name.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But I like, this one here. Honestly, not a single person, but with MVP in Lashley's corner, I hope WWE doesn't put Bill. You and me both. And me both. Yo.
Yo.
Yeah. So that's kind of like a WWE thing. Anything else that we missed? I mean, Nikki Cross is now the women's champion. Yeah. I want to point out for the record again, she wanted this angle and this character. Everyone's like, oh, WWE creative, stupid. She's the one that apparently she loves the Hurricane so much and thought, hey, let's try it.
Yeah.
It was her idea. So if you hate it, hate her. Although she's a real sweetheart, though. So.
Yeah. You can't actually hate her.
No.
The ASH is like almost superhero or something, right?
Yeah. Which I would like it if it's just Nikki Ash. I think it's actually kind of a cool name, but Nikki ASH.
It just reminded me when Rosie was the SHIT.
I think they're like, oh, let's do that again. Ooh, let's not do that again. Yeah. If Goldberg was to beat Goldberg, I think you meant Lashley. How long do you see him being champion?
No. I think Goldberg punches himself in the face.
I would pay for that.
Right? Look, you're next.
I could see him holding on to it for a couple months just because WWE would want that star power behind his name as champion.
Yep.
Maybe he loses it at the Rumble. No way he takes it to WrestleMania, though. No.
I would say a couple months of live shows.
Yeah.
With Goldberg as champ.
But let's all hope not. What else is on your mind there, buddy?
I think we talked a little Raw, so let's talk. See, you got any AEW graphics up there?
I got 2 different ones I could use. Where do you want to start? A rumor or a guy who rhymes with the last name of every other?
Let's do the guy who rhymes with.
All right. Nick Gage slices his way into AEW.
I see what you did there.
Thank you. Thank you. Pizza cutter. He's going to be known as the pizza cutter guy.
Yeah. No, I think, and obviously I don't think he's signing with AEW. I don't think liability insurance you bring full time at all. I think it's very similar to, it's probably been a year or more at this point that Jeff Cobb came in as like Jericho's assassin and wrestled for like 2 weeks and then he left. And I think Nick Gage shows up. However you feel about his wrestling, he's a name in that type of wrestling. He's going to bring people into the product that maybe aren't watching it currently, just to see what the heck he can get away with doing to Chris Jericho.
Yeah. He's the David Arquette guy.
He is the David Arquette guy, yes.
Yeah, and no, you're right about that. But look at what's happening in all of the companies outside of WWE, especially here in the States, where, and I also have something, of course, about, the Bullet Club and Impact Wrestling.
Okay, good. Yeah.
The forbidden door is no longer forbidden. It's wide open. Everybody's coming and going. So I think, hello there. I think Gage is a temporary thing. I think he loses. I think MJF treats him like crap. He starts beating up MJF. Maybe we get a second week out of Gage, maybe a third week possibly, but that's it. But these crossovers are just going to be, dare I say, so commonplace now between these other companies that, I mean, it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome, but I just don't think people should get too attached to these stars that keep making cameo appearances.
No, and that's where I do hope it starts to work out for other companies too. Thank you. It seems like AEW has always gotten the best end of the stick as far as like the trade-offs go. Kaz finally showed up on Impact, where depending on how you feel about Kaz, I like that he showed up and like pushed a story along, and it made sense in that way. And it wasn't just Kenny Omega as the only Impact guy who showed up. I know you're falling asleep because I'm talking about Kaz. Omega's always the only AEW guy that shows up on Impact, and I appreciate that someone else finally went over and did something.
You had private party over there for a cup of coffee.
That's true. They did show up like one point. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, this is a good question for you, Ballz.
Ooh.
Is Gage an honorary Pinnacle member, like how Conan is an honorary Inner Circle member?
No, I don't believe so. I believe the Pinnacle will be much more not inclusive, but much more. They have higher standards than other groups. Where I think the Inner Circle's like, hey, come on in.
and I think at this point, just embrace that you got to see MJF and Nick Gage side by side on the same page. It's something, who knows if we'll ever see happen again. Another question, does Tony Khan and AEW give the rub to GCW, put over that he's world champion for a deathmatch wrestling organization, or do they just put over Gage from Dark Side of the Ring?
Well, I think that might be answered in his first appearance. He didn't come out with a belt.
That's to me like the old territories, like the old promotions when you had Deep South and then the AWA. If you traveled to another promotion, typically, unless you signed something with them for a while, you weren't going over there. No. And I mean, I think they did put him over in the respect that I think they mentioned GCW, and they mentioned the company, they mentioned who he is, what he's famous for. They did not mention that he's a world champion, and nor do I know. I don't know that I would have. I don't think so. And who knows? We know we're getting at least another week of him, so maybe that becomes a part of the conversation. Yeah. Maybe that's even an excuse that, say, this isn't the type of match that he normally has. Yeah. In this case, against Jericho. So maybe the announcers even explain that story that, Gage a little out of his element here. He's not able to grab as many weapons as he normally wants to. So I could see them definitely going that route with it, but that's just good exposure for GCW. It's good exposure for him on AEW, and I'm sure at some point they'll trade favors, and AEW will be a part of that. John Moxley maybe against Gage. I mean,
that's where I thought this was probably heading, but here's the big thing: were you surprised?
Yeah. I mean, it's not one of those. my jaw didn't hit the floor, surprised, but I was well, like, oh yeah, like it was cool. I welcomed it.
Yeah. In this day and age of, like, I don't even want to say we've been jaded by crossovers already because it's been a couple months, but
old hat.
Oh, great, another guy. No, but I was surprised. I was genuinely surprised that this guy showed up on AEW.
Yeah. Now let's go ahead, stick with AEW, but jump to this one here. Daniel Bryan's not just some; he's all elite.
All elite.
He's not some elite wrestling.
Well, I mean, that's not. I haven't seen anything official yet, but that's definitely the rumor.
Right. Yep.
That he is
heavy rumor.
Yeah, heavy rumor that Bryan Danielson has become all elite. He with some sort of creative input, the ability to wrestle in Japan, and lesser dates
and a lighter schedule. Yeah.
Yeah.
But for legends pay.
Yeah. Yep.
And if there's one thing that AEW does well, it's spend money.
That is true. However, I think Bryan Danielson, I think, is worth it.
Oh yeah.
I think he's
for nothing else, for the backstage influence.
Yes, for the number of matches, for the stuff you could promote now that you didn't have the opportunity to before. He's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Because you look at him, and I would say I don't want to say like soccer moms and stuff, but they know that guy's legit. Like, you recognize him from WWE. You're like, oh. And we have.
You were a fan of his run, his main event run in WWE. You know about the underdog storyline. You know he can claw and scrape.
Yeah.
You know he can wrestle. So now you see him in this company full of amazing wrestlers. How do you not get excited for that?
Exactly. I think that's the big thing is he's going to be there to do, marquee main event, just dream matches. Like, you want Danielson Omega? Great. You want Danielson, like all these people that he's ever wanted to compete against, this is his shot.
And even people that maybe we don't think of in the dream match capacity that we just weren't going to get elsewhere, like Bryan Danielson and Pac.
Yeah.
Like in WWE, we were never going to get Neville against Daniel Bryan in a serious match. Maybe they would feed Neville to him for a squash at best. I don't know if it ever happened, but just we know how that booking is. But now we get that. We could see Daniel Bryan, versus Christian. I don't know if we ever really got to see that on a main event level. Stuff that isn't necessarily pay-per-view matches, although him and Pat could be. It's going to be outstanding. This is a great question from Brandy. Who do you want Danielson to feud with first?
Ooh. Oh, man.
I mean, we can probably get Bryan Danielson Sting now.
Right?
Tag match.
Of course. I don't know. It's very interesting. It is one of those things where it's very similar to like Christian Cage. Christian came in, didn't immediately jump to the main event because wins and losses matter.
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, I'm sure whatever he's going to be called, Daniel, like
Bryan Bryanson.
I just don't know. I feel like you bring him in, you treat him well, but if you want the perception that wins and losses matter, he can't immediately jump up. So like he can start picking fights, but maybe he doesn't get official matches with big names until later on. So, oh man, honestly, the way you said it, like Pac would be amazing as a first feud. It would make, he'd have to feud with like all of Death Triangle, which doesn't make sense. Him and Rey Fenix, I think, would be amazing. I don't know. There's so many good ones, I think.
Yeah, this one suggested by Dante, Brian Cage and Danielson. And that's not bad either. I wonder wins and losses, they do matter, but he may not be coming in for the championship right away. Yeah. So it could be he's coming out, and I just want it to be an AEW original, so to speak.
Yeah.
Not a Christian or somebody that he's seen. Omega obviously is probably a little too high up that chain right now, but of course Hangman's up there too. But just like somebody who was an AEW original, maybe it's an MJF, maybe it's
I don't know. There's a part of me that would like to see Danielson versus Christopher Daniels.
Okay.
Just based on like previous runs. those were guys who I think came up around the same time, and they probably did compete against each other in Ring of Honor.
Mhm.
I just don't remember it. And so that'd be the stuff that I'd like to see revisited now.
Yeah, and especially before, I don't know if Christopher Daniels has how much time he does or doesn't have left. He's 50.
Yeah.
So he's up there and he still looks great. He still moves around. But maybe it's like a Scorpio Sky or, as Dante points out, Jungle Boy, Orange Cassidy.
Yeah. The only problem is you immediately assume he was going to come in as a face. The crowd's going to cheer the hell out of him, so you probably shouldn't try to push him as a heel. You'd think his first feud, Ricky Starks.
Let's hope they do that right for sure. Yeah. Who's the one with Penelope?
Kip Sabian.
Thank you. Maybe even him, just like somebody that can go but doesn't necessarily have to win against Daniel Bryan, Bryan Danielson.
That's true. Yeah.
I don't know, but that's a heavy rumor that honestly I expect to come true here in a couple of weeks.
I think they're holding off, but I think we'll see it soon.
CM Punk is DF Dub.
Where's DF Dub?
On I think Stars, on the channel Stars. Is that the one that's going to be shown? That's the thing, is like there's all these reports and a lot of these sites are still clinging to this, that CM Punk is training for a wrestling return. Everybody assumes AEW. Which, if he's going to return, that makes sense, especially when they are spending that money. But there was a great, Kip, but isn't Kip hurt? I don't know.
Yes,
I'm not their doctor. I don't know. And if I was, it would be a HIPAA violation.
You'd be a terrible doctor.
And that too. No, so DFW is Duffy Wrestling League, and that, for anybody not aware, heels Stephen Amell's new Stars show.
Yeah.
He's a character on the show.
Yes, he is.
And so what was great is Bleeding Cool had this whole article talking about a gimmick change, like completely tongue-in-cheek, like they knew what they were doing, but there's probably an idiot or two that are like, I can't believe CM Punk's actually going to change his name. Ugh. But yeah, he's in good shape. He is an actor on there. Debuts August 15th. And let me see if I can get his name. Ricky Rabies is the guy's name. So CM Punk is Ricky Rabies now.
I like it.
This is the best comment we've ever gotten. Gentlemen, please. My father-in-law is destroying my beloved NXT talent on the main roster. Signed, the man with 3 H's.
3 H's.
I'm trying to help, buddy. You hire me. Then I'll get paid, but I don't know if I can help you. I will try.
We do what we can.
Rumor Tony Khan pulled up the Brinks truck to Punk's house.
I see, and which is totally possible. But everything that I've read just says Punk is in it less for the cash and more that he wants a good storyline with good people he can work with.
Yeah.
And some creative control.
And he's worked with a lot of those talents over the course of his career. Now, it doesn't mean he wouldn't want to revisit a Kenny Omega, where he said Kenny Omega was creative from the start, from the very first time when they were kids wrestling.
Yeah.
So maybe he wants another shot at Omega. Maybe it's, a Hangman now getting their turn. Maybe he loves MJF's character. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think people should probably relax a little bit with CM Punk. But when we have All Out coming out, Chicago, it's like every year we're going to get this. But I think for now, enjoy him on TV wrestling Stephen Amell.
I think here's what we know. If Daniel Bryan is announced before All Out, Punk is showing up at All Out. If Daniel Bryan shows up at All Out, Punk's not coming, because you're not going to do both of those announcements at the same time. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see. I know some people are completely tired of hearing about Punk. Don't care if he comes back or not. He's a hot topic, so we got to talk about it. And I'd be curious to see if he does come back, when he comes back, what's the item? What's the catch that finally pulled him back?
Yeah, right? Because that's the only thing, is that if this happens, you immediately start going, well, this better be a good storyline. if this is what he came back for. Oh, this is not that great.
Somebody's having a lot of fun here. Tony Khan now chiming in on this conversation. Everybody playing checkers while he's playing chess. He's all over it.
He is.
Man, we got Triple H and Tony Khan. Like, forbidden door, guys. Talk to each other.
Right?
Yeah.
Forbidden podcast.
Speaking of forbidden door, where is this one here? Boom.
I don't know.
Jay White colors all over Impact.
What did you think about them going off the air without saying anything?
It's a good hook. I
mean,
as much as it probably pissed off a lot of people, I'm like, oh, that's good.
I like that everyone's first response is, oh, great, Impact didn't pay their bill. Like,
and you know,
no, we're just trying to get to the
damn wrestling convention in here. No, I think it's great. You know, you got generations of Bullet Club now in Impact. So we talk about how Impact never really got the same love that AEW has gotten over the months. They got Jay White now. I
was going to say, to me, they've gotten more New Japan love than AEW did. So,
which they've always had the better, you know, even before AEW existed, they've always had those generally good relations. But now seemingly AEW's getting there. They're getting better with New Japan, but they're not quite where they want to be. Impact, though, pretty reliable. And it's a great tease. Omega, the Good Brothers, Jay White. What are they going to do? Is he going to join them? Is he not going to join them? Is he going to bring in other members now? I like that Jay White basically showed up to then feud with Finjuice, David Finlay.
And like that's the reason he showed up. Like, Omega, Bullet Club, whatever. He's there to go after David Finlay, who he's competing against in New Japan. Like,
which is awesome. Cross promotion.
Great cross up. And then was it Chris Bay from Impact joining Bullet Club? He found a Bullet Club shirt in his bag and he's like, oh. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome to be a fan right now. I wish this would have been 10, 15 years ago when ratings were like more eyes were on the product. Yes. Or at least on the TV product. Again, with everything else, you know, social media and whatnot, a lot of people just consume it differently now. But it seems like this would have been perfect just at another time. Yeah. Like, this may hopefully cause a boom, but this is not the boom. And like, I think maybe the companies stop trading talent when the boom is finally there. Now, here's a question. Like, how hard do you think that stuff is to clear? Like, All Elite, just recently, Lance Archer defeated Moxley for the IWGP United States Championship for New Japan. Yeah. Well, like, I think it's just communication. I would hope that they were like, hey, we want to do this match, you know, and then obviously New Japan would have to, I would assume, have to give their blessing for a title change. Because if I remember right, didn't something happen with Brock Lesnar and the title didn't change for New Japan? And there's been a couple of those, but I think the pandemic allowed a lot more opportunity to talk. Yeah. So I think, you know, especially with all the travel bans and the closed countries that all of us had for so long, it just allowed people like, hey, what about this? Hey, what about this? Hey, let me introduce myself. I'm Tony Khan. I'm Tony Khan. I hope Tony Khan does the hand thing you do. I'm Tony Khan. I'm Tony Khan. If you let me change your title on my show, I promise after the show, I'm going to bash WWE for no reason. He is a little upset. You could tell he was a fan of the Attitude Era because he loves taking those shots when nobody takes shots at him. Yeah. No, and then same thing with like Chris Bay joining the Bullet Club on Impact. Like, you'd think they'd have to go, hey, we want to add someone to your faction. We hope it's okay. Or I assume it's one of those. Hey, what do you think about this? Are you open to new members in New Japan and Bullet Club's? Like, who are you thinking? Well, we're thinking this, but no. We do not want Curry Man. Shark Boy. Yeah. So I think it's just great. All this open communication. I mean, even WWE had been working with Evolve and whatnot. So it's not really unprecedented that this is happening, but we're actually just seeing the results now, which is
which is so amazing.
I mean, you're looking at Slammiversary. Yes, I did see that awesome Sergeant Slaughter exclusive.
It really is. Somebody should get me the chase.
Right? You look at that Slammiversary, you had people from NWA, AEW, New Japan. I feel like there was a fourth one that I'm missing.
No, I was reading something that Daniel Bryan is signed with CMLL, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah, but he can only be Bryan because there's another Danielson there. And who knows? It could be a part of the greater picture.
Yeah, he's finally the American Dragon, which is the lucha mask.
Yeah. Either way, I love the Forbidden Door just being slammed open. And so the last thing that I have on my end is something that we alluded to earlier, talked about NXT tapings and everything. Supposedly, the next NXT takeover the day after SummerSlam, Karrion Kross and Samoa Joe for the title.
Yeah, that's what
Joe is cleared to wrestle finally.
Right? You think it's a little weird when you do this storyline where he brought in as like a special enforcer? Do you think he was cleared to wrestle originally? Or it was like, hey, 2 weeks later he gets cleared and you're like, oh, we can do this now.
I'm wondering if he was cleared and they had planned a longer go with the enforcer to really build the tension betwixt him and Pete Dunne and Adam Cole and Karrion Kross. Yeah. But with Karrion seemingly being moved up to that main roster, they're like, all right, Joe, well, here you go.
Definitely.
And so I'm very curious about it, but I think it's awesome. If this is a strict, pure wrestling match, it's not a unsanctioned match or anything, some way around it. If he's returning to wrestling, this is outstanding.
No, it's fantastic.
And he is doing so on the right show.
Yes, definitely. The right show for him, for sure.
I mean, it would have been great for him to be on a Raw or SmackDown and actually being able to go toe-to-toe with a Lashley or a Roman. But after him being put and just banished to the announce table for so long, you probably wouldn't have been taken seriously enough to get there.
No, I agree with that.
It would have been Joe and Sheamus for the mid-card title, where both of those guys arguably could be higher on the card. Dante points out, Dante's been our MVP this show. Joe was cleared when he was a commentator, but Vince held him off. That's what he thinks.
Yeah.
Which is true. You look at the Macho Man documentary that aired a couple months ago, talked about how Vince wanted him at the announce booth, didn't want him wrestling anymore. CM Punk he was happy to keep there. Yeah. It's like, if you move to the announce booth, you shouldn't expect to ever come back full time.
Yeah.
So NXT is the right place for Joe if he wants to wrestle in that company anyway.
Yeah. No, totally.
What did I miss? Anything in the wrestling world I missed?
Well, as of today, I believe Thunder Rosa is now officially all elite.
Good for her. I mean, it's kind of shocking to realize that she had not technically been.
Right? Yeah, no, I mean, she'd been on NWA this whole time, and rumor is that AEW bought out her contract for the rest of the year. It was supposed to end at the end of the year, 2022, and Tony Khan bought it out. And there's a respect thing there that they're trying to do things the right way because they do work together so often. But I mean, Tony finally was like, look, I want her. So what's it going to take? And I think it's great. It's a great thing to have her officially there for the women's division. She's
creative. She's talented. I love seeing the outfits, like the Native American theme that she had recently was just outstanding. And she's a good get for any company. AEW was wise to snag her. Sucks for the NWA, but we don't really know what's going on with them anyway. So, I mean, you got Chris Masters as your champion, so that's. I
mean, there's that.
I mean, he's a nice guy, but I don't know. It's definitely a good get, though. You look at Chelsea Green, has signed with Ring of Honor, but then she shows up on Impact, shows up on the pay-per-view, and so I mean, there's a lot of things. Ring of Honor is doing great with the women's tournament, announcing names, and Mickey through NWA is going to be doing an all-women's show. I mean, it's a good time to be a fan.
Yeah, and she showed up on Slammiversary at Impact to invite
hardcore country.
Yeah, she invited Deonna Purrazzo to show up. at NWA, and that's officially been, acknowledged that she is going to be there.
There's so much crossover right now.
Yeah.
It's great. I wonder who's going to abuse it first. Who's going to like ruin it for their company? When does Tony Khan just buy Impact?
I don't know.
Or the NWA?
Yeah, right. I mean, if anyone's going to abuse it and ruin it for the company, there was those stories of Sammy Guevara was supposed to go over there, and it just didn't work out or whatever. And I mean,
I remember he said that it just wasn't like good for his travel schedule or something.
Yeah.
But other people reported that he didn't like the storyline that was being presented, and he's also young.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily an excuse, but when I was his age, I would probably be a dick too. So you could argue I still am.
One thing I wanted to say about Slammiversary. Now that was the first Impact pay-per-view after the first grouping of WWE talent was available.
Mm-hmm.
Were you surprised or let down by who showed up on pay-per-view? Have they set this standard where you expect a bunch of them? Because last time it was like Heath Slater.
There was a lot of them.
Brothers, Eric Young. This time it was Mickie James and Chelsea Green.
I'm not really disappointed. If I was there in the live crowd, maybe that's a different story. You kind of expect it, like you said. But on the outside looking in right now, I like the restraint. Even if they did sign some of these people, I like that they didn't all just pile in on one show.
Yes.
It's sometimes it's okay to spread them out.
And they, yes, I am acknowledging No Way showed up, but he was not in this most recent group of fire.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's one of those, like, when you have a Slammiversary, it's like debuting all these stars that are available at a SummerSlam or WrestleMania for WWE. It's just, it should be the culmination of what's going on, with maybe a select surprise moment or entrant here and there, but it shouldn't dominate the show. And I'm glad that Impact pulled back and said, hey, this is our show. Let's embrace a lot of the people that have been here for the last year.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I do find it funny, I mean, those two were both former Impact stars.
Yeah.
And, yeah, no, totally.
But well received. Well received. The Jay White stuff obviously was a shock.
Exactly. You're like, you didn't bring Kalisto, but we got Jay White. So
yeah. So I like it. I'm curious to see where a lot of these different stars go. I do want to point out, I feel bad for Velveteen Dream, who, I don't know if you read this, was announced for the the show in Texas. And 2 hours later canceled. 2 hours after the announcement, he had been canceled because of backlash.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's guilty or innocent. I don't know.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have screwed up pretty much in the past. And if they hadn't been given more opportunities to entertain us, we wouldn't have Randy Orton right now. We wouldn't have Stone Cold Steve Austin, who has charges on his record of domestic violence.
Yes.
If this was the cancel culture 20 years ago, Stone Cold would be done.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
And I'm not saying, again, that Dream is innocent. I don't know. But he has lost his dream job from this situation. If another company wants to bring him in and start his ascension back up, they should be allowed to do so. But now with this company backing off, somebody else is going to think about it. And if they do, they're going to get all the heat for it.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be this avalanche, a snowball effect that just, I think, maybe damages him too much. Yeah, maybe the guy needs help, but he also deserves to be able to make a living.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, it's frustrating that, some people, just, you got to remember, what was it, Jimmy Snuka? People think he may have murdered somebody in the 70s or 80s. I mean, murder.
Murdered someone.
And the thing is, the list could probably go on and on of people that have done effed up, especially in wrestling. But they were allowed to get a second choice. But now with this new cancel culture, Velveteen Dream is the anti-poster child. Joey Ryan, who has the guts to book him right now.
Right.
And how long do you wait before you try it again?
Exactly.
So I hope Velveteen Dream Patrick is able to get back on his feet eventually, learn from whatever mistakes he has made, and hopefully be able to redeem. What happened to the good old days, Ballz, where we liked a good redemption story?
Yeah. No.
Fall from grace, and then they pick themselves back up again.
No, but we like it when it's fake.
Yeah. But it's like I even said on my other show this week, Robert Downey Jr.
God.
Talk about a guy that if he was around during cancel culture back in the 90s, he wouldn't have been Iron Man.
No,
and he wouldn't have recaptured our hearts.
That's true.
So I just hope somebody is able to give Velveteen Dream a shot. They don't care about the backlash, knowing that most of them probably aren't going to be at the show anyway.
Yeah, most likely none of those people are actually going to come.
Most are just complaining, just keyboard warriors.
Yeah. Yep. No, absolutely.
And if you really don't like the move and you do watch that product, then stop watching the product. Don't go to the shows. Don't buy that merchandise. That's how you send that message. Don't send a tweet for something that you really don't care about.
No, definitely. And then the other thing I was thinking of, I noticed, and you had talked about it a little bit earlier. WWE is apparently going to have Queen of the Ring, which kind of goes along. I
haven't read this.
Yeah, it's going to be a special on Peacock and WWE Network. They have not announced time yet, but apparently Queen of the Ring is a thing. And I don't know if it's like, hey, all these other companies are having like really great women's things. We should. I know we did that Evolution thing, but we pretend like we didn't even do that. So.
Mark Carano once said it was the worst or least successful pay-per-view of all time, which I find that hard to believe. But
yeah, we've seen.
He also seemed to be a little sexist, from what I understand. I didn't know the guy, but
no, me either. But
bullshit. You knew him.
Go back.
Yeah, you send him Christmas cards every year.
It's true. I don't know why he never sends me any back. It's weird.
He's a jerk.
But Queen of the Ring, good. I think it'll be cool. I think it'll be good. Hopefully, if you do it, you don't do the King of the Ring at the same time. Like, let them have their space and the time to actually do it. Question for you is, obviously, they said it's main roster, so NXT's out at this point. But whose gimmick do you think currently would be the best Queen of the Ring?
Queen of the Ring. I mean,
my initial thing was Mandy Rose, but they just moved her to NXT.
My first two thoughts on the heel side would be Carmella.
Okay. I could see that. Yeah.
On the face side, and again, any of these people could flip at any time.
Yeah.
Although there's a very obvious one right here. Both Dante and Nathan saying Charlotte. The Queen.
No, I hope not.
It would make sense. And if it keeps her away from the title, any title, then I'm okay with that trade-off. But on the face side of things, Sasha Banks would be fun.
Yeah, Sasha would totally be fun.
So Sasha's a face, Carmella's a heel, but I really want to see kind of how the breakdown works.
Yeah, definitely.
And are they going to debut somebody? Maybe somebody from NXT does get that call up.
Maybe, yeah. Like Shayna Baszler, like the Queen of Spades is now the Queen of the Ring. Like
the Queen of Spades.
Queen.
I mean, Nia could have fun if she was a queen. She already pisses people off. So, I mean,
you can tell by
might as well give her the gimmick. She is the Baron Corbin of the women's division.
Ooh, that's true. That is true.
Put in, could be in the main event at any time. You don't really want to see him in the main event, but you're like, okay.
All right. Yeah.
No,
I get it.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting. I hadn't read or heard about that yet, so I'll have to look into that and see if I can make some bets.
Find some insider trading.
Yeah. And go to jail a couple of years from now. That's fine.
Yeah, well, whatever. Spend it now.
Yeah. Be like, at least I'm not Velveteen Dream. People give me a chance. No, they won't.
No.
Again, no show next week, unfortunately.
Nope.
Hopefully back at it in 2 weeks. Maybe we'll check in at some point, though. Maybe we'll say hi to the people. As we work GalaxyCon Raleigh, which shouldn't you be working on that right now, you slacker?